Episode 9 is finally here. If you guys didn't watch episode 8, you guys got to check out the link in the description. I'm your host, Ango. And today I have my co-host. That's right, I said co-host because the feedback was so awesome in the previous video. I just had to bring him back. Nukes, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
Man, you know, wrestling's been great lately, so I feel like when wrestling's good, I'm good.
Oh yeah, it's always great.
So, you know, I wanted to just start things off with a bang. I don't see people talking about it. I don't hear people talking about it, and I think it's a problem in pro wrestling today. WWE, man, they're the giant, right? We could both agree.
Oh yeah, big time.
Okay, so they're the big guys. They're the big guy, the top dog, right? It's their yard, right?
All right, Roman Reigns.
Yeah, so here's the deal. In the past few years, we've seen a lot of reports on dirt sheets, and let's face it, a lot of the stuff is garbage, right? We can both agree?
Yeah, a lot of it is.
Okay.
You just got to know who you're reading it from, that's all.
Okay. Well, I'm telling you, the beloved Dave Meltzer has reported some stuff, and it didn't come true, right?
Hey, it happens. I think it happens with any type of journalist.
Of course. I'm under the belief, and call me crazy. Actually, don't call me crazy because I'm not crazy. But I'm under the belief that WWE has 100% sent out fake news stories to wrestling journalists in hopes of creating buzz for their product.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with you. Like, we can go towards just recently with Enzo Amore. The dude's pretty much hated throughout the locker room, is told, hey, you got to change outside the locker room, but somehow is the main event of Raw, and then somehow pumps life back into the cruiserweight division, and then somehow, becomes a talk of the cruiserweights, which doesn't make any sense to me, only because of all the reports you hear about him being, he's very arrogant, and he brags about how much money he makes and all that stuff, and suddenly, reports come out, oh, he's the most hated guy in the locker room, people can't stand him, and now he's champion of the cruiserweights, and pretty much main events 205 Live.
So I'm glad you agree with me because I really did not think you were going to agree with me. I thought I was crazy. I really thought I was crazy.
Or maybe WWE just picks up on the buzz that they hear about him. That's it. I mean, there's a report that he's hated, so let's make it seem like he's hated by the locker room by having him. I mean, I don't know if this aired on TV or not, but I did see videos on cell phone footage of him getting, beat up by the whole cruiserweight division after Raw got off air, or was it during the air?
It was after.
Okay. So it's not that they buried him on live TV, but they somewhat buried him in front of the live audience by having him, not job out, but,
I get exactly what you're saying. So I'm glad you kind of agree because you mentioned Enzo Amore, which is probably the most recent situation, but there's been reports about just a ton of stuff, honestly, in the past 2 years. I mean, we could even go as far back as when CM Punk was in the locker room. Enzo Amore is probably the biggest one that comes to my mind when I think of this topic. But we've just seen things, especially, I went to SummerSlam for WWE and 2K Sports. And one of the big things when I was there, Nukes, dirt sheets were going crazy, with photos of Undertaker backstage and all this stuff. Now, for anybody who did not know, and I can't believe I have to report on this so late, but Undertaker was not at SummerSlam,
Thank God he wasn't. I wasn't looking forward to come out again, honestly.
But hey, the hundreds and thousands of viewers of dirt sheets were expecting it.
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of people tuned in, so it helped. But I mean, even people said the same thing about Austin Aries just recently. They said he was backstage at TLC.
Yeah.
But I just think it was just a fake photo or an old photo that traveled across the internet, and somehow people believe that.
So that's the problem here. Obviously, people believe things on the internet, which you probably shouldn't do in 2017. But yeah, I'm just under the belief that WWE leaks fake stories. And I think, one of the biggest ones, and I'll actually pull it up. I have it here on my phone. Just give me a second. Because one of these things, oh my gosh, yeah, AJ Styles versus Shawn Michaels. They had graphics for this, apparently. They had a whole bunch of stuff. And I know exactly what you're going to say. I know the kind of guy you are. But at the end of the day, this match did not, come to fruition at any point. And I don't think it's ever going to come to fruition.
Oh, I think Michaels is done. I think he went out the perfect way. I don't think he should ever come back.
So
maybe for surprise appearances, like, some cameos here on Raw. But other than that, I don't think he should ever do a match again.
So
I wanted to see the Styles versus HBK, but if I didn't, I was yeah, you could say I really wanted to see it, but I wouldn't say I was super mad that it didn't happen, only because who knows? Michael's been away from the ring for so long, and he's gotten older in age. He can't do half the things he does in the ring anymore.
So you see something like that, though, right? You question now at this point whether or not AJ Styles and Shawn Michaels are going to have a match. And this is a fake story that we all believed was going to happen. And honestly, you could even see WWE. They had, .com articles. They put things on their website about this. Oh, it's a fantasy match. They had some sort of like mini trailer type of thing. And I don't know. Like I said, maybe I'm crazy, but I think we've seen some stories that WWE has planted or told people to get people excited about something, and they become false. Same thing with the WrestleMania. I think that's been a big thing. I think WWE has, with WrestleMania going to London, that was a huge story that people were like, oh, Vince McMahon had...
Wasn't that an April Fool's joke? I think it was.
I think it was an April Fool's joke, but the thing is, it was on like 5 different dirt sheets.
I think they should go to London.
They should. Absolutely. Think about how big it would be for WWE to go to London. I mean, for the people in the United States, we would have to watch it at a totally different time. But look at the people on UK, bro. They're watching WWE Raw at like, what, 3 or 4 in the morning?
Yeah.
And trust me, my Twitter timeline has people doing live tweeting, and I see it all the time. It's the most interactive time for pro wrestling. So it doesn't matter where you're at in the world. You're tuning in, But that was a fake story. So Wembley Arena was going to have a WrestleMania. Another one was going to... that it was the whole CM Punk thing. At one point, CM Punk...
people were going crazy about that. I remember Meltzer got a lot of heat on Twitter for that.
Yeah, so, it just... I guess, like I said, I might be crazy. I don't really understand it. I don't get it. But at the end of the day, WWE, I think, is planting fake stories. And I think it kind of, especially with like Roman Reigns, right? There's been stories about Roman Reigns recently where it was like, oh, Reigns had backstage heat, and that's why they derailed his push. That's why they had, Strowman beat him up or whatever. And then it's like, okay, the next week on Raw, Roman Reigns literally destroys Braun Strowman.
Yeah, but I think it's just Vince. I mean, we don't really know the guy. We never worked with him, so we don't know how he really is. But everything like that, I mean, what you were saying, even Raw just seems out of control sometimes, that you could basically believe what you read on the internet because of the way management does things now, where just matches are just being thrown together, and like Enzo Amore getting beat up and literally getting destroyed on TV, and then suddenly becomes champion. So I don't know how it all works out. Vince is a weird guy.
I think Vince is the most brilliant brain in pro wrestling. I'm going to tell you why.
Oh, I think so too. I think you're an idiot if nobody thinks that. I mean, if you don't think that, I think there's something wrong with you.
I agree. And here's the thing, though. I do want to point this out. Enzo Amore went from being the biggest baby face in WWE, or one of the biggest baby faces. Him and Cass, they had a gimmick that was completely over. And at this time where Enzo was, we even saw it with Cass's promos about Enzo backstage. I can't deal with you. None of the guys respect you, that type of thing. I can't go out in public with you. You're crazy. I
think WWE, when they get stuff that's actually like real backstage and apply it to, a scripted environment, they always thrive.
I don't think.
Like look at Edge and Matt Hardy, man. Like that feud was awesome.
Awesome feud because that was a real life instinct. I think WWE created this instinct, though. I think they created that moment between Enzo because they realized in order to make 205 Live flourish, you couldn't bring Enzo Amore in as a babyface.
You don't think? I think Enzo is one of the most colorful characters that WWE has right now.
He is one of the biggest draws in WWE right now.
I don't want to say draws.
100%. You don't think so?
No, I don't think so.
Name a heel right now that has a chant that gets
not overness, yes, but not drawing.
I think he's drawing. I think the reason why people are still watching 205 Live.
Okay, yeah, okay, 205 Live, yes.
That's what we got to talk.
Okay, got you.
We 100%. We can't talk about Raw or SmackDown because with Raw or SmackDown, let's face it, it's every day it's fluctuating, right?
Yeah,
1 week.
Sometimes they're not selling out arenas. When we went to Hell in a Cell together,
I know
we were shocked that one side of the arena was empty.
Yeah, and that's a whole different thing.
Yeah, of course,
Little Caesars Arena has been a bust so far for all Detroit sports. So I do want to point that out. If you're a viewer and you saw Hell in a Cell and you were like, oh, it's empty. Pistons haven't sold more than 5,000 seats. The Red Wings could barely get like 3,000 seats, filled up. So it's an issue within the area or something. But yeah, Hell in a Cell was taped.
I just think it has to do with the parking. But anyways, continue.
No, you're right.
I don't mean to get off topic.
No, it's absolutely true. And honestly, how bad is it? I even told you the day after Hell in a Cell, I was like, bro, I feel like the crowd was hot. Like
it was very hot.
The show was really good. And then what happened, bro? People on Twitter were tweeting me and they're like,
it was dead.
Yeah, they're like, we didn't see it. And
I mean, there's also stories about Kevin Dunn, lowering the crowd volume or whatever. I'm not too good at editing or understand the whole editing process or whatever. But from what I'm told, they usually turn down the crowd noise when the guy, like Roman Reigns, for example, when he's getting booed, they'll probably shift the volume down so you can't really hear it through the TV.
So do you think they're shifting the volume for Enzo Amore?
No, I don't think so. They probably do it with some guys.
Because Enzo's a heel, and he still has people chanting soft. Which, by the way, did you watch 205 Live yesterday?
No, I did not.
So it's been the first episode that I saw in weeks, right? I had to see what was going to happen because they had Kalisto get his rematch against Enzo. Enzo, of course, gets disqualified, walks away with the title belt. But before the match actually happens, he has a new hype man, and his new hype man is Arya Daivari. And Arya Daivari is like the coolest freaking hype man for Enzo Amore. He's a heel. He comes out with a whole bunch of swagger, and he hits him with the SAWFT. And everybody in the arena was chanting for him. Now, the thing about SmackDown, don't get me wrong, the attendance hasn't been that great in a long time. But 205 Live, people weren't getting up and leaving. And the reason why is because Enzo Amore. And I'm telling you, if he was a babyface, it would have never worked out. I think Vince McMahon is a genius. I think he planted Enzo Amore's heel turn because now look at Enzo, how he uses social media. Bro, the other day he posted a selfie with him and Samoa Joe, and he does this with other wrestlers and other rappers. If this is the kind of guy that you don't have
he's got
backstage,
he brings a lot of pop culture with him. I mean, he's cool at Wale. I mean, I've seen him with The Weeknd. All types of guys.
So he's a natural badass at this point.
Yeah, he is.
He's the bad guy that WWE wanted to be bad because they knew that with a good, just think about it.
His attitude, you can totally shift his attitude into being a typical douchebag.
He is a typical douchebag.
Like, look at the guy. Like, it's easy to hate him, but once he grabs the mic, man, you fall in love with the guy.
I'm gonna have to beep this out, but he is what they call a fuck boy.
Yeah. No, I agree with you 100%.
So with that being said, WWE planted that news. There is no backstage.
Or maybe they just seen the type of traction, the whole Enzo's he's a terrible person backstage, and they said, hey, let's just give what the people think he is, and let's just run it and turn into gold.
Enzo Amore saved the Cruiserweight division.
Oh, I agree 100% because I did not care about him one bit. Only because it's the style, man. Look at the style. It's literally a slow-paced WWE style for everybody. Dude, the Cruiserweight Classic was by far the best thing WWE has ever produced, ever.
100%.
In my opinion. I loved every minute of that.
And you know why I love that?
Why?
Because Enzo Amore has come out and basically trashed everything that these cruiserweights have worked hard for.
Oh, yeah.
This is a guy that, by the way, people say he can wrestle. He responds in his promos about that.
He is a terrible wrestler.
He is a terrible wrestler.
But he's intriguing, man. He's got a lot of charisma.
So that's why it's so interesting because for me, when I think about this, right, I'm thinking cruiserweight division. I'm like, yeah, they need to be saved. It's really desperate. And it just shows, I don't care if you love indie wrestling, that's completely fine. But it just shows that entertainment always, is always far greater than pro wrestling.
Dude, look at Hulk Hogan. The dude was just, what was he doing? Doing regular body slams and a leg drop, and people were falling in love with him.
Well, he would do that in the occasional 450 splash. Sometimes the inverted one.
Oh, yeah, definitely. 450 off the top rope.
Yeah, like Mustafa Ali. You ever see the way he does it?
Yeah.
But truthfully, I like Mustafa Ali, but I like him because he's a good wrestler. His character does nothing for me.
For example, I know we're getting off topic because the whole topic was does WWE leak out fake news in order for us to get intrigued and watch. Another person that is boring to me and that I would love to tune out every time he comes on is Kyle O'Reilly. Yeah. I'm probably going to get a lot of heat for this through the comment section, but I think he's honestly he's a great wrestler. Like, don't get me wrong, that guy is phenomenal. I went to Evolve show in Livonia, I think it was earlier this year, and it was a great show. He had a great match, but when it comes to talking and having some sort of a character, he lacks that.
Yeah.
And I think in WWE to strive, you need that character. You just can't come out there and just be named Kyle O'Reilly and just, hey, I can put you in a headlock and do a cool flip in the ring and fall in love with me. I don't think that works with a few guys, like Daniel Bryan, but,
for sure.
Well,
just remember that at some point before NXT TakeOver, Dirt Sheets had a report on Kyle O'Reilly and this whole ROH stable.
Oh, yeah, that's been going on for a while.
For sure. And
even in the past. I remember reading about how there was supposed to be an NXT TakeOver on Raw, and that never happened.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff, obviously, that happens with pro wrestling. And if you guys are a viewer of The Slam, I want you guys to interact with the show because there's been a lot of opinions on this. And like I said, we've named a couple instances where WWE potentially could have, leaked stories to dirt sheets to build buzz.
Here's another one. Do you really think that? I mean, we really don't know because no one really comes out and forward says anything, but we just read dirt sheets. But do you really think that Kevin Dunn and Triple H and Stephanie all have some sort of hatred between each other?
I've heard about it. I've read about it. I don't know. I don't really have an opinion on it.
Yeah, I don't know either because like we really don't know who Kevin Dunn really is. I know that he handles the production side of WWE.
Put it this way, he's probably the most important person in WWE.
Yeah, but he really got to stop that whole shaky camera, that zooming in, zooming out.
God.
Like, man, that makes my head hurt.
Yeah, the whole thing about that, I've heard about it, I've read about it, and I just can't have a personal opinion on something when I'm just not confident. Because what I'm reading with a lot of these dirt sheets, I'm just being honest. It's, hey, Samoa Joe is injured, right? And they've done this so many times with dirt sheets. Samoa Joe is injured up to 1 year. And then guess what? Samoa Joe's going to return before the 1 year. It's the same thing with John Cena.
Yeah, I think they do that with John Cena to give him that more of a superhero type approach to him. Yeah. So like, oh man, he's the guy who never gives up. And of course, maybe he has an injury that has him out for a month. Yeah. But for whatever reason, for entertainment purposes, they want to push it out to 6 months to make him seem like he's larger than life and stronger than everybody on the roster.
So again, WWE is leaking fake news.
Yeah, of course. I really do think that to an extent. I do know in the past from what I've read online, through old observers with Dave Meltzer, that Vince used to call Dave Meltzer on, just consulting, asking him tips and stuff like that, or if he should do this or should he not do that or whatever. But yeah, I do think that sometimes they do get fake news and they leak it just to see what happens to build somewhat of buzz.
Very, very interesting. Nukes, I appreciate your opinion. I'm actually surprised that you agreed with me. I'm not going to lie.
I think there'll be a lot of people that agree with us.
I hope so. You guys have the chance to interact with the show. Use the hashtag #TheSlam. Follow me on Twitter at @TangoWithAngo. Use the comment section down below. Let myself and Nukes know what you think. At this point, I really just want to hear what people have to say because we've seen a lot of instances, honestly, and I could probably talk about this all day. But I want to hear you guys' thoughts in the comment section and on Twitter. Make sure you guys use that hashtag. Nukes, do you have a final word for the show?
The revival.
Yeah, that's gonna get bleeped out. But anyways, thank you guys for watching and listening to the show. Make sure you guys subscribe here on the channel and follow us on Twitter and do all that good stuff. And thank you for watching The Slam.